does Sneetches initially want stars? Why?
Well, I think because they wanted to gain acceptance. It's not fun to be left out all the time. So I think they just wanted to be part of something.
I think the star Sneetches looked really pretty. They wanted to look pretty like them.
I'd like a star.
I like a star. I don't want a star.
I don't want you to have a star.
Would you like to know anything about Dr. Seuss?
Yeah, let's start with
That's
that.
good. As I was
good.
the investigator. He was born in 1940. No, but one thing though that I did find interesting was that his dad really wanted him to become a professor of academic studies, but he said that they bored him, and so he got out of the academic realm and started writing books. His mom always chanted these rhymes to him and his sister when they were falling asleep, and he gives her credit for making rhymes and poems come alive. And he'd written 44 kids books. But one thing that was interesting was that, where was it? Many publishers thought that it was just way, way too deep for kids, and he was rejected like 27 times before he actually got his first book published. So that's interesting.
I think Dr. Seuss can be deep or just
you
a
want it to
very
be.
simple lesson.
Agreed.
I don't think it has to be, you know, like green eggs and ham, just try new food. And that's a huge lesson when you're 3,
Yes.
is just try it. And it doesn't have to be a huge, you know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because when I just read this, I read it exactly how I think most people read it, that it's just about, you know, racism and not ostracizing another group. But then when I read another little bit of information, it said things like it could be bad for kids because it's telling them at the end they completely adopt another culture. So they're saying, like exactly what you had said, they're looking so deep into it, and it has to be explained to everyone, not to just abandon your own culture and join someone else's. So that could do children harm. So you're right, like there's the
But the other
level.
part of the harm though is with McBean and all the money he's making off that.
The capitalism
Like,
and
see, and that's where my head went when I was reading this. And yeah, there's this piece in there about the racism and wanting to be like everyone else. But you look at McBean, and he sucks these people dry until they have no more money.
That's where I went to as the connector. McBean reminded me a lot of, say, designers today. The hoodies, when the hoodies came in, everybody wanted a hoodie to be cool. And who's the only one that's benefiting? The designer. So as a connector, that's where I came to. But then, as simple as feelings, you could go as simple as feelings for little children, and you don't necessarily all have to be alike. You know, we can get along with just being who we are.
See, I thought McBean was fantastic because I thought it was showing he was a great entrepreneur, and he was really fitting into those niches that where he could get in there, and he was the only one that could help them out with that particular product.
he would have done well in
And
Shark Tank.
and as a result, he was able to have a very successful business. So that's how I read that.
You could make a connection to the Occupy Wall Street movement as well, and capitalism.
Definitely.
And
Or you could go
because
as
it
the-
shows capitalism as being bad here.
Yeah. Or, I mean, Dr. Seuss, you can even go as deep as connecting it to history. Star of David, you know, that the Jews had to wear in World War II, and you could even go that deep. So I think Dr. Seuss has really shown us that you can go intellectually deeper into it, or you can just go on the surface with feelings for the younger children. So there was a lot of...
In a way, it's kind of like the movies of today, right? Like when kids watch Shrek, they see it at one level, and then adults
Parents see it.
the other level, and it's kind of the same thing with this story.
And then connecting it also to the book, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Very much so that when you read that book, which is about the Holocaust, the little boy in the striped pajamas and the boy on the other side of the fence, they're really just the same. They look different on the outside, but on the same level, they just want to play and be friends. And so there were a lot of different connections, right from just very surface to quite deep connections you could make with Dr. Seuss. Who knew?
The one thing I read, but I don't know how true it is that they almost scrapped the manuscript due to the Jewish Nazi. They wanted it just to be about racism and social class. In general, they almost scrapped it. And then there was another site that said it was based on that. That was the purpose he was trying to get, so I don't really know which one was
But I think
accurate.
with any literature, as time passes, you can make different connections,
That's
right?
what you just said,
And
yeah.
so,
It's going to change.
And I don't know, what year was it what year is this one published? Did you happen to investigate that?
I think 1961.
Oh, okay, so, cool.
so he was pretty young when he did that. He'd only been 21 years old. He was born,
He was born in
1940.
40, and he died in 91.
Shauna,
Is
did
he
you-
actually a doctor? Or did he just call himself Dr. Seuss? Because he sounds like he was quite educated, his parents were, and that he would have been, you know.
I don't think he was.
If he was publishing books at 21, probably.
He wouldn't have been able to be.
And like I
a
said
doctor
before,
yet.
he did drop out of university. They said the academic studies
So-
bored him, so I
so
don't
he wasn't
think
actually-
And one of the other things that he did a lot of is, that I found this year, was that he did a lot of propaganda posters for in World War II. Or post-World War II stuff in 1940. He wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of posters and for businesses and stuff like that. That's probably how he paid his way until he got money from publishing. So I thought that was kind of, and very distinctive. Like you can tell it's Dr. Seuss
Yeah.
based on his caricatures. So with that, Shauna.
Why I read it to my 4-year-old last night, and so I kind of went on her reaction, and so our interpretation and whatnot was very surface because it was very 4-year-old. So I was the illustrator, and I kind of stuck with the first half of the book with almost like a bullying type theme with her, because she's going through that already at 4 with the little girls at daycare, and just even their clothes and everything already, that they want to be like each other, and she gets upset if she doesn't get to wear a sparkly skirt, and you know. So an acronym that they use at daycare is CHAMP, and CHAMP stands for Caring, Helpful, Attitude, Manners, and Politeness. And so she is always saying, if somebody's being good, they're like, "Good, you're a champ," and right? Or if they're not being good, she says that's not champ behavior. So as we're reading through the story, and the star-bellied Sneetches are being really mean to the plain bellies, I think they're called, she looks at me and says, "Mom, that is not champ behavior." And so I thought I would title my illustration, "That's Not Champ Behavior," because she was right. And so I did it in black pen and very little color, because that's basically very Dr. Seuss-ish. And then also because I felt that they were being very black and white. They weren't thinking in color. They were thinking just, I want to be like that person, and not thinking about themselves. So I thought that was very black and white. And I chose to draw an adult and their child both doing the same thing, to show that you teach your children by your behavior. And so this can happen generation to generation, because you are what your parents, right? So yeah, and then he has a dark cloud and it's raining over his head, just to add, emphasis to his unhappiness. Yeah.
I find I'm going through that with my 14-year-old daughter Taylor as well.
So it doesn't
She-
end right away.
No, she wears dresses and skirts all the time.
Is
at
she
home.
modeling that?
Does
And
she?
she really wants to
Always
wear them at
sparkles?
school, but she feels a little bit bullied by her peers.
The pink sparkle
So she
skirt,
just
is that
wears
the one that she
the
wants?
pink things at home, and I think one day she'll feel comfortable enough to wear them at school, but we'll see.
She's modeling her father's behavior
Yes.
at home.
She just wants to wear shorts to
I
school
thought it was
because
the
you
Canucks
do.
jersey that she always wore to school was the problem. No?
See, that's a bit offside. Took that way too far.
It's interesting, I read it to my 6-year-old, and she didn't really talk much about the difference in the Sneetches. She was all about McBean and the machine, and look how much money he's making, and the pile of money, and how he was smart to change the machine, because initially it could make a star and then it could take off the star, and she was all about that, which is an interesting difference in the 2-year age difference there. Which I was surprised that she didn't talk about the stars more, but it was money making. So.
That's interesting.
She's a shopper in training.
Right.
Typical role model.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. It's that
I wonder
role
where she
model.
gets that from.
Yeah.
And my husband does run a manufacturing company that is all about making new things, so I don't know, but interesting.